Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session of Spokane Public Schools' Keep Learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for third graders and anyone else who is interested in joining us. If you didn't see our previous lessons, that's okay. You can find them on the KSPS website. You can still tune in today, even if you haven't seen the others. My name is Sharon Withrow, and I am an instructional coach at Bemis Elementary in Spokane Public Schools. I get to be your teacher for our lesson today, and I'm so excited that you are joining us. Today, we will be learning about main idea and details in informational or nonfiction text. For today's lesson, you will need a piece of paper and a writing tool. I will give you a moment to get what you need. Readers, as I said just a moment ago, our goal today is to focus on main idea and supporting details. When you're reading nonfiction text, you'll find that the author chooses to give the text a structure, kind of like a frame for it to stand on. The structure that the author of this text used is main idea and details. As we're reading, we will be looking more closely at what those are. Let's make sure we all understand what we're talking about. First of all, the main idea is the big topic or idea the author wants me or you to learn more about. They do that by not only telling us what the big idea is, but giving more information about it. Those are the details. They can be found in explanations, facts, examples, and descriptions. When you're looking for the main idea, you can find it in different places. Sometimes it's at the beginning, followed by details. Other times you get all of the details and then the main idea is at the end. Sometimes the main idea is stuck in the middle, surrounded by the details. Today, as we read, we're going to be using a graphic organizer called Boxes and Bullets to help us organize our thinking. The boxes are for the main idea, just like this one. The bullets represent the details we find. Let me show you what I mean. Readers, this is the graphic organizer I just mentioned. Boxes and bullets. The box at the top is where we house our main idea. The bullets, the dots down the side, are for our details. That's why it's called Boxes and Bullets. This is what we'll be using today to keep track of our thinking. Readers, let's use this moment to get your paper set up for when we reach the end of the text. Go ahead and draw a rectangle at the top of your paper, just like you see on mine. Then underneath it, make 3 dots. Leave some room so you have a space to write. All set? Let's get started. This is the text we'll be reading together today. Fossil Hunters, the Albertosaurus Mystery, Philip Curry's Hunt in the Badlands by T.V. Padma. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. Searching without a map. Philip Curry was thirsty and tired. It was one of the hottest summer's days of 1997. He and his team were looking for fossils that belonged to a dinosaur called Albertosaurus. Almost 90 years earlier, a famous fossil hunter named Barnum Brown had found a fossil field in Western Canada's Badlands. Many Albertosaurus were buried in it. Philip was trying to find this place again. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Brown had not made a map or written down where he had found the fossils. Philip had a few clues, just some notes, and 4 old photos. Discovery. The team was running out of water. Everyone except Philip went back to the camp. He continued on with the search. Sandflies and mosquitoes bit him. His head hurt. Philip had seen the remains of Brown's campsite earlier in the day. He knew the bones must be close. All alone, Philip climbed up another hill. He stopped to hold up a photo. It looked just like the scene in front of him. He also could see that years ago someone had dug in the rock there. Philip had found Brown's bone bed. Readers, we're going to use this section to do main idea and details after we read. Keep that in mind and see if you can figure out what the main idea might be. Barnum the Bone Hunter. Barnum Brown grew up in Kansas in the late 1800s. His family dug and sold coal. Young Barnum saw his first fossil when the family plow accidentally pulled one out of the ground. Brown went on to study fossils. He found that he liked digging up bones more than learning about them in class. So he left Columbia University to become a bone hunter for the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. Brown was very good at finding fossils. Henry Fairfield Osborn, the head of the museum, joked that Brown could smell fossils. News writers called him Mr. Bones. Readers, let's look more closely at that last section we just read. Barnum the Bone Hunter. I want you to think about what the main idea might have been from that little part of text. Here's what I came up with. See if yours was similar. Barnum Brown was very good at finding fossils. Reader, do you agree with me? Let's see if we can remember some of the details to help us support this idea. First of all, it told us that he found his very first fossil at a very young age. Secondly, it told us that the head of the museum said Brown could smell bones. Reader, what do you think that means, to smell bones? Do you think it meant that he would pick them up and sniff them? Or do you think it's a figure of speech, making us think about how a dog might sniff out bones and find them easily? That's what I think. Finally, the news named him Mr. Bones. All of these are examples of details to support the main idea that Barnum Brown was very good at finding fossils. Finding the first T-Rex. Readers, look at that picture of the skeleton. Isn't that fascinating? Here's the caption. In 1908, Brown found this T-Rex skeleton. It can be seen at the American Museum of Natural History. In the early 1900s, Brown dug up Tyrannosaurus rex skeletons, first in Wyoming and later in Montana. These were the first T-Rex skeletons ever found. For several years, Brown returned to Montana to dig for fossils. The bones he found there were often stuck in hard rock. He sometimes used dynamite to get them out. Then, in 1910, a terrible thing happened in Brown's life. His wife died. Brown tried to forget his sadness by hunting for more fossils. He rafted down Red Deer River Canyon in Canada. He camped in the area and looked for bones. Soon, Brown made a surprising discovery. Finding many meat eaters. In Canada, Brown found a place where many skeletons were buried. The skeletons belonged to Albertosaurus, a large meat-eating dinosaur. It was the first time anyone had found the bones of so many meat-eating dinosaurs in the same spot. Brown dug up some of the bones. He wrote only a few lines about his find, but didn't say how unusual it was. He didn't say why he thought so many individuals of the same species were together. He didn't tell what the discovery might mean. The Albertosaurus bones were sent to the museum and put away. There they lay in a basement storage room for many years with other dinosaur fossils. The caption says, Albertosaurus got its name because the dinosaur's fossils were first found in Alberta, Canada. Readers, after we read this next section, A Fierce Family, we're going to do another main idea and details graphic organizer. So keep that in mind as I read and see if you can figure out what they might be. A fierce family. Albertosaurus was part of a family of fierce, meat-eating dinosaurs called tyrannosauroids. Tyrannosaurus rex was also part of this family. Albertosaurus was smaller than Tyrannosaurus rex, but it was strong. Albertosaurus could see and smell well. It had many sharp teeth. Its huge, powerful jaws could crush bone. Like Tyrannosaurus rex, Albertosaurus lived and hunted alone. At least, that's what paleontologists thought. One man, however, was about to change their thinking. He had some ideas about these ancient creatures. Let's look at the caption down below. Tyrannosaurus rex was about 40 feet or 12 meters long. Albertosaurus was about 30 feet or 9 meters long. They've put a picture of a human there so you can compare in size. Readers, this time I'm not quite as sure what my main idea is. I'm going to jot down some details first and see if those help me determine what the main idea is. First of all, I learned that the T-Rex was in the same family as the Albertosaurus. I want you to think of another detail. What has come to your mind? We also learned that the Albertosaurus was strong and could see and smell well. I'm assuming that would help it as it was hunting for meat. Finally, we learned that the Albertosaurus could crush bones with their powerful jaws and many sharp teeth. This tells me that my main idea was Albertosaurus was part of a family of meat-eating dinosaurs. Readers, sometimes it's easier to work backwards like we did this time if you're unsure what the main idea is. But it is always important to double check and make sure you didn't have an extra detail that doesn't relate. Let's go on and learn more. Philip Curry's question. In 1976, Philip Curry read what Brown wrote about the site full of Albertosaurs. At the time, most paleontologists thought tyrannosaurids lived alone. If so, asked Philip, why were many of these animals buried together? Had they died together? Had they lived together? Some plant-eating dinosaurs had lived in groups. Maybe some of the meat-eaters that hunted them did too, thought Philip. After all, big groups of animals were hard to hunt alone. Maybe Albertosaurs hunted in packs. Philip was busy learning about many kinds of fossils and dinosaurs, however. He put his questions away for many years, just as Brown had put away his fossils. The caption says, the Albertosaurus had about 70 teeth in its gigantic jaws. The bones in the basement. Philip thought about his question again 20 years later. This time, however, something happened that made him hunt for answers. Philip came across some Albertosaurus bones in the basement of the American Museum of Natural History, the museum where Barnum Brown had worked. He could tell that the bones were from the Badlands in Canada where Brown had been searching for fossils. Philip saw that Brown had found at least 9 Albertosaurs in one spot. He also saw that Brown had taken only a few bones from each animal. More bones were still buried in the Badlands, waiting to be discovered. Look at the map. It shows us the place where Philip rediscovered the Albertosaurus fossil site found by Barnum Brown. If you look in the bottom corner, you can see our state. It's not too far from us. Philip discovered more than bones at the museum. He also found Brown's field notes and a photo of Brown's site. Using these clues, Philip was able to find the bone bed. Locating the spot was just the first step, however. Philip and his team worked for months to dig out each fossil. At least 22 Albertosaurs were buried in the rock. After the work was done, a new question came up. Did finding many fossils together prove that the animals had lived, died, and even hunted as a group? What may have happened? Philip knew there could be other reasons for the fossils being together. Many of these ideas only brought up more questions, however. For example, the Albertosaurs could have died in quicksand. yet different kinds of dinosaurs could die in quicksand. Philip had found the fossils of only one kind, Albertosaurus. Maybe the Albertosaurus had gathered to lay eggs. If so, however, the fossils should have been about the same age and size. Yet Philip had found small, young animals as well as large, old animals. Philip's hunt had ended, yet he needed more evidence to show that the meat-eaters lived together. More groups of meat-eaters. More evidence came when a paleontologist named Rodolfo Coria phoned Philip. Coria was calling from Argentina. He had also found a spot where a group of meat-eating dinosaurs was buried. So perhaps meat-eaters did live in groups after all. Scientists found more places with groups of meat-eating dinosaurs. The places were all over: Arizona, Montana, South Dakota, Utah, Mongolia, and Zimbabwe. Philip also looked carefully at the footprints of meat-eating dinosaurs in the Peace River Canyon of Canada. The footprints showed that meat-eating dinosaurs may have traveled together. Digging deeper. Did some meat-eating dinosaurs spend time living and hunting together? Scientists still aren't sure. They can only make smart guesses based on the fossils they have found. Other questions are still unanswered as well. Why did the Albertosaurus at Brown's site die? What killed so many animals at one time? A big storm? A forest fire? Philip Curie says that a paleontologist is like a detective. The mysterious death happened millions of years ago. No one saw it. Using clues, the scientist tries to tell what happened, how, and why. As long as there are fossils waiting to be found, the investigation continues. Readers, we finished our text. Now let's think about the whole thing, not just a small part. The Albertosaurus mystery. I have identified a main idea for this text. Paleontologists continue to ask questions and investigate to better understand the Albertosaurus. I want you to think of details from the text that you can add to complete the chart. I've come up with one for you. Let's see if this one came to your mind. They are trying to find out if groups of meat-eating dinosaurs lived and hunted together. Readers, when our video is done today, I would like you to go on and add more details to the graphic organizer. If you come up with more than 3, that's great. You can flip your paper over and keep making bullets and adding those details on. Readers, remember, it's important to determine the main idea and supporting details when you are reading nonfiction or informational text. By doing that, we are able to identify the main idea or the big topic the author wants us to learn. As we read on for more information, we can learn details like facts, examples, and descriptions. Doing that helps us to better understand the text we are reading. Readers, I've enjoyed doing some literacy learning with you today. Thank you for joining me as we keep learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again for our next lesson on KSPS. Have a great day. Bye-bye.